the support of the ministry, is also establishing an inspectorate that will be in charge of export and import verification. I'm sure people who are in the industry, they understand that very well. We have under challenges in trying to verify the exports and imports. We're having a lot of, imports that are being, brought in. Some of them are substandard. So we are creating an inspectorate in the council to verify and make sure what the country is getting is worth what we deserve. So this will support the Kenya Revenue Authority, valuation of exports and imports to ensure proper taxes and other levies are collected and therefore cap cheap imports. The success of the Kenya Leather Park in Machakos County will rely on your investments. The council will continue to support you and continuously work with you, not only to facilitate your enterprise, but to transform the sector into a modern, sustainable, and internationally competitive industry that will create wealth and employment to our people. So those are the few things that we are doing in the council to build your confidence. And we're inviting you as investors to team up with us so that we'll be able to create wealth and create employment. And it's for that I want to say thank you again for coming, sparing some time this morning to be with us. And we hope we'll be able to interact. We know some of the investors would also want to know where Kenani is. So we are in the process. We'll get in touch with you probably before you leave here. If you want to pay a visit, we'll be able to organize for an official visit for you as investors. With that, I want to say thank you again for coming, and I want to invite the PS in charge of industry and enterprises who will make his remarks and invite the CS to talk to us. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies.
Good morning, everyone, and all protocols observed. Thank you, CS, for gracing this very important occasion for us. This is one of the key milestones in the ministry, and coming at this stage, details have been given. At the danger of preempting CS, at times I feel like I just want to welcome him up because I don't want to say something, but I just want to make a few remarks, particularly giving the context of what has been said before, what we are here today, in light of the broader strategy and program of the ministry. As you may recall, last year we launched Kenya Industrial Transformation Program, and this program seeks to transform Kenya as a major industrial hub in the region. This program has goals that are very specific and clear, and one of them is increasing the manufacturing sector contribution to the GDP to over 15% in the next 10 years. We want to create jobs, 1 million annually. We want to improve Kenya's ease of doing business to top 50 by 2020. We also want to increase the level of foreign direct investments to more than 5 times the levels we had last year. So those are the goals we have in this Kenya Industrial Transformation Programs. And this program looks at transforming Kenya's industrial sector, the structure and the composition. And to be able to do that, it is outlined in a manner that we are transforming Kenya's industrial base sector by sector. And we have about 10 sectors we've identified. And in the medium term, which is 2 to 3, maximum 5 years, we have a few sectors that we have identified that are very critical in creating jobs, transforming the rural lives, as well as also the value adding in the country. And one of those sectors is the leather sector. We have the textiles, we have the agro processing. Those are the three critical sectors that we've identified. And then the issue of business environment and growing the SME. So those in our medium term, short to medium term, are our priority programs. Focusing programs on leather sector, textile, ease of doing business, and growing the SME sector. As we move, once we've created traction, we'll be able to expand to the other sectors. And that's why today, when I look back, a year back, and CS knows, we had a bunch of people, both private sector, public sector, and we were told, we want to put up a leather sector. At that time, we didn't have a terms of reference. What our term then was, we need an industrial park for leather. Where, we didn't know. How to go about it, we didn't know. But looking back 1 year now, I think we have something that we are very proud to share with you, the investors, so that now as you plan your expansion programs, diversification programs, you have a home, a place that you're going to locate your investments. And we believe from the feasibility studies which have been mentioned earlier for this leather park that you are going to make money. Because from the statistics, from the data, Kenya is one of the most profitable places to locate your investments. So this is a great milestone. And with your permission, sir, I would like to look at the scorecard for our Kenya Industrial Transformation Program. I think it is a program that was launched in September. We've made progress a lot in ease of doing business. We've made a lot of progress in the textiles. We've made a lot of progress today in also the leather. So when I'm to rank between 100 and 0, I think I can say we are more than third way through with the program that we launched or we set ourselves to start last year. So with your leadership, sir, I really want to thank you for that very focused push that you've given us. Without your direction, without your passion, I think we wouldn't be where we are today. And I just want to thank you for that leadership that you've given us. And I think we can now count on results. We can count on impact that we are about to create. And I just want to urge the investors who are here with us today, we are not discriminating on anyone. We're inviting all investors, and that's why today we decided that we don't want you to hear from the press that something is happening. We wanted you to hear from us, and we are doing much, and I know CS will mention a lot on our plans to make the manufacturing sector the engine of growth for Kenya. So with those many remarks, I want to take this humble opportunity and duty to invite our Cabinet Secretary, Adan Mohamed, to come and give us his remarks and also officially launch this process where we are now inviting investors. Karibu sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kurir. The KLDC team, who are really the owners of this program, led by the chairman and the CEO, who you heard speak. The KLDC, the EPZ team, who are the landlords of this major program, are represented here by the CEO and the director, Amina, who spoke. Colleagues from the ministry, represented here by the 3 principal secretaries that were identified. Investors who have really been instrumental in getting us to this place because of their appetite for wanting to improve the state of our leather industry throughout its value addition and supply chain. I really want to thank all those people who have, played a key role, especially the teams that I've just mentioned. Normally, when you see, food served and you like breakfast today, what people never realize is the smoke and the pains that have gone on in the kitchen. A few knife cuts as well. But when you enjoy the sumptuous dinner or lunch, people think it's an easy thing. We have gotten to this space today due to significant amount of hard work and difficult questions being asked of all the stakeholders, be they in government or indeed current as well as prospective investors. But before we embarked on this program, one of the things that I did when I first came into the ministry was to really ask the question, should we be thinking about this sector? Is this sector important? Do we stand a chance to succeed? Do we stand a chance to compete, not only in the region, but also globally? You know, do we have what it takes as a country to get us into a situation where we will be one of the leading players within the leather sector? And towards that end, I set up what I call the Leather Development Task Force. That was a team of private sector people, a team of practitioners who are already investors, a team of people who are in government, to really help us think through this. And today I just want to recognize the person who has led that task force, who has been the sounding board of all of us, who has really made us think harder than we have to actually get us into this. People who are providing pro bono services really cared about what is it that we needed to do in this leather sector. And I want to just recognize Dr. Kiruthu just to stand up and wave to. There are a number of his members here. I don't need to introduce them, but you know, he is the chair, and at any short notice, whether it was because when the minister calls him he has to respond, or whether he was doing that out of love for his country, I think it's more the latter, but he has been a really, really big supporter for us into this place. I just want to make 3 or so points today, because the most important aspect of this program is to hear from the investors, from government people, to really share a bit more of the details of how we move into the next step. Today is an investor launch program where we should be discussing with investors what is happening, why this is important, and people can express interest on whether they want to take up space in this new city that has so elaborately been described by the chairman, the CEO, and the PS earlier on. The first thing I just want to say is, why is leather important, and why do we as a ministry and its all relevant departments focused on this? You will see in this pack a lot of information. And by the way, I'm told this would be beamed at some stage. This is, you know, there will be a website that would explain a lot of what is happening. But this pack has a lot of information on why leather is important. And by the way, you know, this logo may sound very easy, but the amount of time and effort it took was quite an interesting one. I would like to thank the True North team. I think the CEO is standing there, who have done a lot of work in getting us. Put your hands together for the True North team, who have been very instrumental in getting us to this particular point. So why is leather important? If you think about the global leather trade and production, it's worth about $100 billion US. $100 billion US is the size of the opportunity that we have. And then you look at that and see how much of that is happening in Africa. It's about 4 billion. You know, 4% is what Africa is actually able to do. And if you look at Kenya, we do just about $140 million. Less than 0.25%. So Africa does 4% of the world. Kenya does less than 0.25% of Africa. So, you know, it just shows the size of the opportunity and what we could achieve if we got this right. And as part of the journey to this program, we explored, asked ourselves, what is it that we need to actually capture a significant part of this value? And that is why we looked at the economics and the supply chain of this industry. And if you think about it, in Africa, Africa today contributes about 20% of the world livestock supply today. More than 20%, which is the basic raw material for this sector. And yet, our global supply of the leather products is about 4%. And so there's so much we can do. And without going into the history of why then haven't we done this, it's due to a number of issues, be it policy issues, be it implementation issues, be it that there are more other exciting and sexy sectors where people have been interested to drive. But this is one of those things that we now need to put our energy behind as government to see how we can actually drive this sector. And so it is a sector that we are making a bet on as government. In many respects, our ability and capacity to make this work, because we have raw materials, we have the animals, we have the markets, and we have got the expertise around within the country to actually do that. So it is something that we're really excited about.